This is Minister Edom, and I'm coming back at you again. And this is the topic going in on the so-called white man once again. And I'm just trying to show you and give you real-time illustrations of just things that go on in the earth that they do. You know, this is the guy. His name is Jimmy John's, and if you're familiar with Jimmy John's sandwiches, I'm pretty sure this guy, that owns this business and chains of business all across the United States. Primarily, I don't know if everybody has them for sure, but I know we have them here in the Midwest, and they deliver and everything. And I always thought the sandwiches were halfway decent. But this is the stuff that these rich devils do in their free time. They want, and that's what I'm saying. They accuse us of, to hear them talk. Black people are the worst thing that ever happened to America. We're going bankrupt because it's black people's fault. I mean, how can the hood do that much damage to the world? But last time I checked, I didn't see the Varios and the ghettos. I've never seen blacks and Mexicans taking off in aircraft carriers and destroyers, which is pretty much the same thing. But going in destroyers, sailing the seas, and docking on somebody's country and taking it over, or dropping atomic bombs on people, or invading people's country just to steal the natural resources. That is global damage. That is destroying the earth. Black and Hispanic people and Native American people aren't shooting rockets up into the atmosphere and punching holes in the ozone layer. So now that the sun is beaming hotter than it's ever been. We don't own factories that pump out toxic gases into the atmosphere. Like I said, we're not putting pollutants in the ocean. They're the ones that are doing these things. But yet, to hear them talk, man, the Negro, he just has completely destroyed the world, and he done all that from the hood. So once again, I'm gonna show you an example of how these rich devils and how they get down in their free time. This is the stuff that they do, and I'm pretty sure this man probably doesn't have health care for his employees. He probably, pays them really hardly nothing at all. They're probably just, slaves. And you just watch the article. Just read this, follow along with me, and show you how disgusting this guy is. Because they, like I said, these devils will spend $1 million on fun, but when it comes to you, $1 million on some type of budget to boost the morale or help the situation in their employee's life, they won't do that. They won't do stuff like that. They got to have bullshit money to go around and destroy the earth. This sickening reason is why you should never buy food from Jimmy John's again. Some companies should be boycotted for various reasons. Jimmy John is absolutely one of them. And no, this isn't about many of the issues people are always talking about when it comes to working for Jimmy John's either. Like the fact that they force their sick employees to work for fear of losing their jobs. And if they get fired or quit, they're not allowed to work at any sandwich shop or restaurant within a 3-mile radius of Jimmy John's either. What? Which is petty, infuriating to hear, even if you're not an ex-employee sick of making slave wages. No, today we're talking about this owner, Jimmy John. I don't know how to pronounce this. Louis Todd himself, who is a complete fucking asshole and a psychopath who loves to spend your sandwich money on killing endangered animals in Africa. Jimmy comes from South Africa, and no, Jimmy comes to South Africa and sometimes Namibia or Botswana quite frequently. When he does, he easily drops more than $250,000 on a single trophy hunt. Just to go hunt endangered animals that are already at the brink of extinction. And this is what they do with their money. These are what these elites do. And when they have their meetings, they laugh at us. They laugh at us. All we do is go to work to make these devils rich. And they'll blow money like this. But like I said, when it comes to you, when it comes at the end of the year on their so-called holidays, and it's time to dish out, all of a sudden, well, we can't afford that. We're not going to have the Christmas dinner or Thanksgiving dinner, which I don't celebrate anyway. But being that what it is, this is the type of excuses they have. They didn't tell you they spent $250,000 hunting animals, endangered at that. So this is where your money goes to help you out. This is where your money goes for health care. Imagine if this asshole would have spent this money on his employees having health care or something on that lines at least. So here's a rhinoceros right here. This piece of shit has hunted. You're not hunting it for meat. You're hunting it for sport and for its tusk. That's not a reason to kill an animal. Oh, look, here's another elephant he killed for fun. And this is a rhinoceros. But are you aware that poachers alone kill 94 elephants a day? That's far more elephants dying before they can even reproduce. Between poachers and jerk-offs like this, Africa is losing its big game very quickly. It is highly likely that elephants and rhinos can and probably will be completely extinct in the wild within the next day. And that's what the so-called white man does. He goes around in the earth and destroys everything he comes in contact with. But to him, in his mind, he's there to give you the gospel and to save you. Because he's there, you've been blessed by his presence. But no, he's the Grim Reaper. Everywhere he goes, there's going to be some type of pollutant, some type of robbery going on, some type of rape, and some type of the destruction of the ecosystem. This is what he does in the earth. And he's a cancer in the earth. So how does it work? Well, usually the animals are lured from a national park onto a private property. Trophy hunters will leave out bait, play the sounds of other animals to lure them in, or a few other tactics to find their animal victims. Canned hunting is even worse. It is the shooting fish in a barrel version of trophy hunting, and the animals are often hand raised so they can tame and don't run away. They leave food out for them one day. Then some coward creeps up and shoots them with his high-powered bow or rifle. Sometimes they don't even have to creep. Sometimes they just shoot them from the back of the truck, then go back to drinking their gin and tonic like it was just a bit of harmless fun. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. But this is the stuff these rich devils do. And don't let me even get started on this. A lot of people don't know what they're really into this. They really like to go to Africa and certain other parts of the world and actually really hunt people. Have you ever seen that movie Surviving the Game with Ice-T, where they set him up and told him they was going to get him on his feet and stuff and give him a job and set him up, and then they hunted him? They really do shit like that. The so-called white man does shit like that. And he'll pay top dollar like this to go do stuff like that. They go on safaris and hunt African children. Part of the infuriating thing about the behavior is the fact that people like Jimmy John have the audacity to call themselves conservative. I'm having a hard time pronouncing this, conservationists, whatever, and claim that their trophy hunts benefit conservation and local communities. Real conservationists give their time and money without insisting or killing something in return. Well, I live in South Africa, and I spent more than a year living and working in the Kruger National Park. I know many rangers and also know professional hunters, and I know owners of big game farms, and I know the situation with Africa's wildlife pretty damn well by now. This is why I can say with absolute confidence that Jimmy is absolutely full of crap when he claims that the trophy hunting funds conservation, feeds starving villagers, or keeps the ecosystem in balance by keeping animals numbers down. Those are 100% lies perpetrated by the trophy hunting industry, and they're easily disproved. It is well known here that trophy hunting funds less than 2% of our conservation efforts in South Africa. Normal tourism, as in shooting animals with cameras only, raises over 15 times more money for conservation than any form of trophy hunting in Africa does. He just wants to go out on safari and kill something. He has to fulfill his vampire bloodlust. Without brutally killing anything, most people who do trophy or canned hunting like this are only fattening the wallets of wealthy game farm owners who only care to protect their own animals from poachers coming on their property. This does nothing to protect animals in the wild. National parks where most endangered animals live. As for the feeding locals, 9 times out of 10, meat from the trophy hunt, especially if it's a large animal, is left in the dirt for the scavengers because they can't be bothered to move the body or process it. Plus, the locals here don't eat lions, rhinos, or elephants anyway. They eat fish, chicken, pork, and beef like most people around the world do. When it comes to animal numbers, I won't deny that there are some species that are breeding out of control. Impala and warthog are often culled for this reason. I know a guy that kills an impala every single day as part of his ranger job. You know what this is because hunters have killed most of their natural predators. Then the prey becomes outnumbered. They eat up all the food before it has a chance to grow back, and then all the animals starve. That's why rangers have to shoot so many of them to try keeping the ecosystem in balance. But that's just it. Nobody comes here to shoot an impala. They come here to shoot lions, leopards, elephants, and other big 5 animals more than anything else, thus making the imbalance in the ecosystem even worse, not better. Ecosystems need to be better protected, especially fragile ones that are so out of balance due to overhunting, poaching, and habitat loss. Like the African bush assholes like Jimmy John are part of the problem, and so are you if they give him your money. In case there is doubt about what I've said about conservation, you can read a much more in-depth explanation here. And you just click right there. But I'm going to leave a link in the box on the video where you can go and read this for yourself. But I'm just going to show you, man, this is what the rich elite do for fun. And like I said, it gets even more exotic and even more sick because they actually hunt people. Now, some of you will say, well, I want the proof. Well, I have seen pictures. I don't have the pictures myself. Could they possibly have been photoshopped? Yes, but trust me when I say they go and actually hunt people. Just like that movie Surviving the Game with Ice-T, they actually do stuff like that. A lot of movies, not every movie, because you do have movies that are in a fantasy world, but most movies tell you what the elite are doing. They like to brag. And when you have that much money and that much power, you're not going to keep it to yourself. It's almost like an explosion. Like an explosion from the inside. You got to let somebody see what you have. So their outlet is the movie theaters. And they give you subliminal messages. They give you keywords that if you're studied up, you'll pick up on it. But if you're not, if you're just a dummy that's just programmed by Miley Cyrus and Lil Wayne and certain other rappers that are, Nicki Minaj and them. If that's all you're living for, you are in total oblivion to what's going on around you. And I'm going to close out with that. And that being said, take it easy, fam. I'm out.